Awesome. Exciting day. So a year ago, almost quite a year ago, 362 days ago on February 5th, we signed our initial class, and we put that together in about 9 days. We used a lot of those kids this season. I mean, Tavion Combs, he's going to be a big-time player. Bobby Wooden's going to be a big-time player. Obviously, we didn't recruit a scholarship athlete in Isaiah Chavez, but he proved what he can do. And we tell those kids all the time, our walk-on program is going to be as strong as there is in the country. And I think Isaiah proved, his intent and what he was able to accomplish in the 2 games. So here coming in August, we'll find something for him. But we did a really good job. The coaches did a really good job, in my opinion, throughout the summer. And this started last year when spring ball was cut off, when the pandemic started. Our last practice on March 8th, we revised what we did. They closed everything down, and we put together a virtual class like everybody else in the country. But I thought our coaches did a phenomenal job starting back in April of identifying kids, evaluating them together, starting the recruiting process. We did some good things within our athletic department as far as virtual visits and recreating stuff so that those kids could see everything through the computer. And when we signed the 21 that we signed in December, I thought that was really big testament to how well a job the coaches did. Now, the scary thing is nobody in the country, everybody's in the same boat, but we haven't seen these kids in person. I don't know what they look like outside of their film. We haven't seen their families in person. And that's a big part of recruiting that everybody's missing out on. So on paper, these kids, and on videotape, we think we signed a really good class. I talked about in December, we addressed a need for speed, for height, all those good things, which are positives. We have 3 scholarships left to sign. We added, so we have 3 kids here that we signed in December that graduated early from high school. Bear Milicic, quarterback from Arizona. Aaron Dumas, a running back from El Paso. And then A.J. Odom's a kid that we actually signed in last year's class that we kept home to put on some weight and joined us this January. So those 3 kids are in the weight room. And then we did add 2 transfers at the beginning of this semester. C.J. Boone, a transfer, a wide receiver from Missouri. He might be the fastest kid on our team now. He's been clocked electronic time at a 4.3840, which there's a handful of the people in the world that can run that fast. Now he's slight. He's a strong. In the weight room, he's been really good the last couple days, far better than I expected when you look at him. But he's 6'3". He's about 190 pounds, and he can run. And then we got a linebacker, D lineman, transfer from San Diego State, Jeff Blake, who is in school. He's a 6'3", 220-pound kid. Coach Long recruited from Norcross, Georgia. Coach Long was part of it. He was the head coach there when Jeff went there. He decided he wanted to be somewhere else. And so he's a good-looking athlete that I'm excited to have on our football team. And so we've got 3 more scholarships. The idea is to find a couple of more transfers, preferably grad transfers that have played. With the blanket waiver right now, it's becoming a free market, and I think recruiting is a little bit different. We're going to continue with the freshman route for 90% of our recruits, but we need a little bit of help up front. I don't like going the junior college route. I think the speed and the variance is too different. If you get a 3-for-4 kid that was a qualifier out of high school, I kind of treat those as a freshman, and I'm not opposed to recruiting those kind of junior college kids. But transfers, either 4-for-4 or a grad transfer that has proven they can play at the Division I level. And either we're still in the market for a grad transfer quarterback, which some will show up at the end of spring ball when they go through their spring balls at their institutions and decide whether or not they want to be there. We're looking for at that position a guy that's played and has experience, not somebody that we're going to throw darts at and hope they stick. And then an O lineman or a D lineman that'll help us up front immediately. With the 14 seniors that we have coming back, I'm excited about the group that we have that's going to help us in this transition year of year 2. I think it'll help. That was the big fear coming into this job is year 2 because we were going to lose those 31 kids with the likes of the Brandon Shooks and the Joey Nobles. Well, we get Joey Noble and Kyle Stapley for another year, which is going to really help us up front. And then we just started workouts 2 days ago, and it's exciting times around here. The expectation hasn't changed. Everything that we did in Las Vegas, I'm proud of them for that. Obviously, we were able to defeat COVID while we were there. We had 0 positive tests the entire time we were there. And the kids have been chomping at the bit. We actually, they quarantined from when they got back to school. The first day of school was the first day after Martin Luther King Day. They were all here the Sunday before that. And then on February 1st, this Monday, we started our first workout in the weight room. We were in the stadium yesterday morning at 6 a.m., and then we'll be in the stadium again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So there's a lot of fun things going on around here, exciting times. I'm excited about the trajectory of our program, and it's really, really good. So go ahead. I'll open it up for questions now. You guys were easy. Go ahead, JJ.
There you go. So Danny, when you look back at last season, how would you grade your team with everything they went through and then the results at the end?
Well, I mean, you know, as coaches, you try and put positive spins on things. As you break down what we did, and we go through, I mean, going into a season, I like to break it up into quarters. You play 12 games, the first 3 games of the first quarter, second 3 is the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and so on. Fall camp being the crust, the mold, the creation of what you're going to be. And then you should see a vast improvement between week 1 and 2, because you're actually, I mean, you get, during fall camp, in my opinion, your boys get kind of grumpy going against each other, and then they play a different opponent, and then you kind of get back into the game plan mode. And by week 2, you should see vast improvement. And I thought between San Jose State and Nevada this year, we made a vast improvement. We had opportunities to win that game, and we didn't. I thought the guys did a really good job. I mean, once again, I'm going to go back to President Stokes and Eddie and David coming up with the plan to move us to give us an opportunity to compete was awesome. And our kids, I mean, they did everything we asked them to do. We got better. We got more competitive as the season went along. We were competitive in every game. I thought the Air Force game was the most lopsided one, obviously. And shockingly, we had opportunities in the second half to get back into that game. Defensively, we did a great job of causing turnovers and giving the offense short fields, and then we didn't execute on offense. We gave up way too many points in other games that the offense kept us in games, so we got better. I thought our low point, obviously, at Utah State, the third quarter barrage, this 6-minute period where we give up 28 points. I mean, that's terrible football. And, I mean, I told our guys after the Fresno game, I'm not backtracking from my words. We were a terrible football team. They took to that and wanted to continue to embark on where we were, and they got themselves prepared to play the Wyoming game. And we found a way to make enough plays at the end. I mean, Brandon Shook caused that fumble down the goal line. Jake jumps on it and recovers it, and we keep him out of the end zone. A lot of people ask me, you know, let him score and then go score. Well, we don't have the kind of offense with Isaiah in there at the time. I mean, it wasn't a 49-point offense by any means that we thought we could run down there and score. So our best job was keep him out of the end zone. And I'm not one that's going to let people score and go that route anyway. But we did. We caused turnover and we won the football game. And then the confidence after that game in the hotel, the demeanor at practice, I was, to be honest with you, I was really nervous going into the Fresno game thinking that our guys were too confident, which is crazy for a 1-5 football team to be that way. But they were believing in the process, and then they went out there, and even when we got down by 10 both times in that game, they never wavered on the sideline. And we just kept pecking away, and found a way to score more points than Fresno and beat them. By no means are we a good football team yet. I said it from the beginning, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We've made improvement. The best thing is we've got some excitement around here for football, which is incredible. We're going to keep recruiting the state of New Mexico and recruit in-state kids. We're going to build this thing just like I talked about a year ago or December 17th of 2019. We're going to build it the same way, and we've made progress. And I'm excited about the opportunity of going into next year. We opened up with Houston Baptist in September. I'm excited about that. I'm just excited about the opportunity to play, and I hope we can put as many people. I'm praying that the pandemic is further along at that point. Everybody gets vaccinated and continues to wear their mask, and we can get from red to yellow to green, and everything will be great, and we can get people in the stands, and I'm excited for that opportunity.
Any of these sick players are your best recruiters, and with recruiting how much difference you've seen from a year ago to now in the reception that you're getting when you're selling New Mexico football, and B, the way your current student athletes are helping to sell your program?
I thought, I'm going to give Jordan Somerville, our running backs coach and our recruiting coordinator, a ton of credit. I agree with what you said. Our players are our best recruiters. They do the best job when we can get these kids on campus of identifying the ones that we might have messed up on as coaches, bringing a kid in that's not going to fit into the mold. And the guys will come and tell us, hey, coach, you know what? After last night, we're good. We don't need this guy. And I'm 100% on board. When they tell me that, we're moving on, because that'll ruin things faster than anything. We set up different, just like this Zoom call, we put our players on a panel with all of our recruits that we did virtual visits with and let them ask with no coaches on. Now, one, you have to trust the players that you're doing, because that could turn upside down quickly. I think we have a bunch of really good guys in our program that believe in what we're doing, and I think the last 2 weeks show they believe in what we're doing. And so they did a good job of selling what we're doing. And then we've really stepped it up, obviously, on the back end with the resources that we've used with, Chase and those guys with the videos that they've done, Jordan and some of the stuff, the graphics that we've created and stuff that we're putting out. And we just did some stuff this weekend that we've built an entire calendar that we're going to be able to do that for the entire year. I think that has done just a phenomenal job, because the kids are on these all the time. And it's the way to connect with them. And then you got to weed out the ones that this is way too important along the way. And so far, virtually, we've done it. We'll see when they get here, and they'll get here beginning of July, and then we'll lay our eyes on them for the first time. I mean, the luxury we had last year is we got to see those kids on visits in January. We didn't get that this year.
Next up.
Coach, what's your timetable right now in spring, when you guys are starting and when you plan to end it?
So we are going to be in the weight room for the next 6 weeks. We have a couple of tentative schedules for spring ball. If the public health order changes significantly between now and the beginning of March in the next month, and that goes a lot onto travel restrictions, people coming in, how long they have to quarantine. We're one of the few schools in the country that is still having a spring break during the semester, and we'll give our kids off that week. So that obviously, if the health mandate is that they have to quarantine and they go home, that would delay us a little bit right there. If the travel restrictions get better, and right now every state in the country is a red state coming in, so it's high risk. So right now it's a 14-day quarantine from everywhere. We won't start spring ball until April 5th, and we would have our final spring practice on May 1st. If we're at the 8 per 100,000 at that point and we can have home contests, then we'll have some people invited to the scrimmage, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then finals week is 2 weeks after that. And then they'll get about 2 weeks more for a little bit of a break. And then June 1, we're back in the weight room. And we've got a cycle June 1 through the end of June. They get that week off of 4th of July. And then I think 4th of July is actually on a Sunday. That Monday, the 5th, we're right back at it. And then I think we were able to start camp on August 2nd. So they'll have a few days off after the last day of July. The last week of July, they'll get a couple days off, and then we start fall camp. And then hopefully September 4th, we're playing Houston Baptist in University Stadium. So that's the timeline right now. We've got a couple. We would like to start March 2nd. If we can start March 2nd, we will. Most likely we're going to start April 5th. If we start March 2nd, then we'll have the spring conclusion on April 3rd. Most likely we'll start April 5th and move on to May 1st. But I've gotten good at making schedules. So we've got a whole bunch of calendars over there, and we're just waiting for the one that the public dashboard, it's a great website, beautiful colors. When that thing says green, then I'll put this schedule in. And beyond that, we'll move forward.
Plan A, Plan B, Plan C.
That's exactly right.
So high school sports, there's been a lot of developments and potential for high school sports to be coming back soon. I imagine that's one of the dominoes that can be affected for you guys. Everything falls into place. High school sports can practice 22nd of this month, potentially start in the March. How much are you keeping an eye on all that, and how excited are you for the potential of high school sports coming back here?
I'm super excited for those kids to have the opportunity. They've been chomping at the bit, working in groups of 5 in their small pods since July. And I've seen it all over the place. Let us play. That cool. The parents have got behind those kids, and I think Sally Marcus has done a great job of working with the governor's office and giving the kids. And then, I mean, the governor's office did, I mean, the communication has happened. I think Eddie has been phenomenal in pushing all sports forward and working with the governor's office and having great interaction. And so I hope they get the opportunity to play. I'm really positive that I mean, I've encouraged all of our kids, the ones that we've signed and the ones we're recruiting, go play. I don't want any of them to not be worried about getting hurt. What of that? Go play. You've been working your tail off for the opportunity, and I mean, I'm excited about APS, seeing what their hybrid model is, and I know Rio Rancho's got their hybrid model worked out, and I was sad for the kids in in Valencia County, and I saw Hobbs and Clovis are getting ready to start their hybrid, so I think there's a lot of positive momentum towards that. Kids need stuff to get out there and do, and I'm excited that they're working together.
Steve, I saw you have a question.
Backing off of that a little bit. I mean, you talked about it earlier about that you haven't really seen these kids from here in the 2021 class. This not playing in the fall definitely kind of affects these kids, especially kids that are seniors that may have had a chance to play D1. I mean, realistically, it did kind of affect you guys being able to recruit, correct?
It did a little bit. We had identified the New Mexico kids that we thought could play. Usually there's some kids in their senior year that they might have developed between junior and senior year that we wanted to wait and see what they did. Obviously, there's a couple out there that we're still recruiting that we're excited about, and I still hope they get the opportunity. I feel sorry for the ones that didn't get that opportunity to prove that they can. But here's the great part. They still have an opportunity to walk on here at the University of New Mexico, just like Isaiah Chavez did, and prove they can play and help us and make the coaches look like we made a mistake and didn't recruit them. And so I invite all those kids that believe that they can. If we have room, we'll give them an opportunity to play. The majority of our class, though, that we signed played this fall. The California schools did not. The New Mexico schools did not. The kids, Bear had a great season in Arizona. All of our Texas kids played. So we have senior film on 85% of our class. So that didn't really affect it. I thought we did a good job. We obviously lost a couple of old linemen at the end. That's going to happen all the time. That's actually a good sign. That doesn't hurt my feelings. I mean, it frustrates you, but it means you're recruiting kids that other people want, and that's a really good deal. When they're coming to steal them, that means you're getting the right ones. So I don't think it really affected. I think the young men in New Mexico that didn't have an opportunity, well, they'll get their opportunity. And if it's not here, then let it be at the other schools. There's one I could care less about, but the other ones, Eastern, Highlands, all those, go have fun. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, sorry, one more. I
Oh,
know
go
you
ahead.
have high expectations for your program, and I know it's only been 1 year going into year two, but how do you feel about the trajectory and where you guys are at right now, program-wise?
I like the trajectory. I like where we're at. Like I said, I think those 14 guys that we invited back are really going to help us in this transition year from year one to year two. One, they wanted to come back knowing what we expect them to do. I think that's awesome. I mean, they believe in what we're doing. And with the 31 seniors that we had going into the fall last year, if you lose all 31 of those, you've got two classes of, your freshman class has 4 and your sophomore class has 9 scholarship kids. You've got a gigantic hole. I mean, you can bid 85 scholarships. And if we lose 31, next year we would have been, without putting kids on that don't belong on scholarship, we would have been around 68 to 70 scholarships. And so this transition is really going to be significant help in building this. I said it's going to be, by year 3 we'd be competitive. Year 4 and 5, I think we're going to be a really good football team. I mean, I think the team on paper, as we get towards 2024, we've got a chance to really compete for a conference championship around here. And so I like where we're at. If we get a full off season this year, where we can actually beat them up a little bit in spring ball and then continue with 2 big sessions in the weight room, because I don't think we're a very strong football team. And I think that was my biggest regret is going to Las Vegas is not taking racks and setting up a weight room. That would have been a typical college football season weight room. But the kids have the right attitude. And the 2 days that we've worked out in the weight room, have been phenomenal. So I'm excited about that, and I think we're heading in the right direction. Plus, in the community, I think, and this is a little bit of a fear. We went the last 2 games, and everybody around here, when I was listening to the radio stations the following week we get back, we would think we're competing for championships already. I mean, the excitement was awesome, which is what I want. I want people to believe in that because, and I really actually enjoy the ones that don't care, or they say they don't care, but they complain and all that stuff. That means they care, and that is the right kind of people. If they want to, I mean, the ones that, I mean, there's one on Jeff's show that has a nickname for me, the Gonzales. I love that because he cares. If he didn't, then it wouldn't mean anything. So I think the expectation has risen, which is great. We're not going to win every single game next year, not yet. And the people that want us to, that's what we want. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Danny, I know you've already said in the past about getting to 85 scholarships again this year, even though you're allowed more for this year. Was there ever a desire from you to have more than 85? Did you want more than 85, or are you just kind of going by what it's been told?
No, I want, so here's my opinion on that. 85 scholarships is what a football program should be built around. If we wanted to go over 85 scholarships, we would have found the way. I don't want to go. I mean, and some of this is I learned in my last 2 years with Herm Edwards. I mean, the NFL model, they've got 53 guys on their active roster. A lot of 1s and 2s in practice against each other. I think some of that is very valuable because of the speed of it. But consider this: you've got 85 guys that are on scholarship. We've got our Title IX number, which we can have 113 guys on the football team. Well, when we go scouts, offense, defense, you got 44 guys participating in practice. Okay, you got the offense over there going against the scout defense. That's 22, and then on the other field is this defense going against the scout offense. There's 44 guys. You still have 65 guys standing around watching. Now you have, I mean, when we go on trips, we take 74. Sometimes, I mean, at the end of the season, we're allowed to take 74. We weren't. We were taking about 68, 69. I'm not a big believer in rewarding kids that aren't going to go to the game and be on the sideline. I mean, a kid like Isaiah Chavez that we take, who's the 5th quarterback, obviously you have to take more quarterbacks because of that desire. As I went back and watched all the games on TV, part of why he's successful, if you go back and watch the Nevada game on TV, which I have on my DVR, Trey Hall's coming out the field. Isaiah Chavez is the first one over there every time into the ball game, talking about him, whether it's a good play, bad play. I mean, greeting him off the field, talking through things. When you have kids that aren't invested because they're not playing, they're getting away on the sideline. And when you have too many bodies, it makes chaos. So my true belief is the 113 that we have out there with the 85 on scholarship is the right way to go. If we had, of those 31 kids, if they were 31 All-Americans, we would have found a way for 31 kids to be on our football team, but that wasn't the case. And so this transition really has helped us because of the amount of seniors that we had. I mean, the thing, and I'll say, I mean, obviously our administration is committed to winning, or we wouldn't have did what we did this fall. And so that's not an issue at all. I think we have the right number of scholarships on our football team.
Coach, going back to the trajectory I feel like you guys are on, you mentioned you're in the market for a grad transfer quarterback. How big is the quarterback position going to be moving forward as far as your trajectory, how it affects it, and what's the group you have coming back so far for the spring?
Well, right now, we've got obviously Isaiah. He's back. Trey Hall's back. Tavaka's here. Bear Milicic is in the room. Brant Hughes is still here on scholarship. He is still recovering from surgery from July. Those guys right now, I think the young kids are very, very talented. I mean, Bear in the weight room has the right mindset. His high school tape, he is a competitive dude, which is what you want. I think that's the most important position on your team. So if we find the reason I'm out there looking for a grad transfer that's played at this level is they bring a little something different if they've had success at this level. And so that being the most important position on our team and us potentially being a little bit better next year than I anticipated, I mean, one of those guys can come in and be a difference maker. I think the quarterback position, you can have a significant difference maker at that spot. I mean, it's like, in basketball, and now I'm not a basketball coach, but you can have one great player that changes your entire team. In football, outside of the quarterback, one guy's not going to affect the game in as dramatic as a fashion, because if those guys aren't up front any good to block, it doesn't matter. A quarterback the Kyler Murrays, the Baker Mayfields, different style, Tom Brady's of the world, they're different. And if you can find one that's special, I mean, the head coach at Tennessee now, he was one time a Lobo commit because I hosted him on his freaking visit, and then Oklahoma swoops in on the day before signing day and steals him from us. Josh Heupel should have been a Lobo. He was obviously a difference maker. He won the Heisman at Oklahoma. So they're out there. And if we find one that can change our program, then we're going to take them. Go ahead, JJ.
Oh,
Speaking of other people wanting what you have, your quarterback coach did get a chance to go to the Miami Dolphins. So how do you feel about your staff and then really initially the group you were able to bring together to start this program?
Up until last week when Coach Flores called me from the Dolphins, I thought we were going to keep all of our coaches. It's a good sign when people want your coaches. It means you're doing the right thing. It's the same thing if they don't want your coaches. That means you got a bunch of bums, and finding a way to keep guys around and finding the right guys that fit who we are and what we do, I think is important. So all of them are coming back right now, other than Jordan. He got an opportunity to be an assistant in the NFL, which is awesome for him. I mean, he's 28 years old, and that was his aspiration. So, I mean, I did everything I could to help him with the opportunity. And, he's obviously a good coach. I mean, look what he did with our quarterback room as the domino. I was giving him a hard time on his way out. I'm all, look, man, you wait till the very end to play Isaiah. Maybe you evaluated him in the wrong order. What are we doing? So QB5 should have been QB1 maybe. Who knows? We'll find out next year. But the continuity on the staff is good. Obviously, Coach Long on the defensive side, he's excited to be here in Albuquerque and loves what he's doing. Coach Wareheim, I thought, did a great job. We've got a spot to fill that we're trying to fill. I can't comment on the name right now. Y'all saw it on the internet. It's not approved through HR, so I'm not allowed to say, but that's the name I guess I'm trying to say. It's who we're trying to hire. And so hopefully that'll be done here quick so we can get this done. And, I'm excited about the trajectory of both our staff and what our kids are doing. Did you have one, Will?
Yeah, sure, I do. I'm trying to write two stories at once, so I'm a little distracted. Morning out of the legislature, the Student Athlete Endorsement Act cleared its first committee unanimously, which means it is on its way to becoming enacted by the end of the legislature, which will allow student athletes to get compensated for their likeness and just being a commercial. But it's interesting because one of the people who wrote the bill said it's a recruiting tool. Colorado already has it. California already has it. Is this something that benefits you when you're trying to recruit a kid to New Mexico, saying, you know what, you come here, maybe you get a car commercial, maybe you get something out of it?
Well, I'll say this. When I took the job, I said it's going to take everybody. And that was a big part of it. And now that they're changing the rules a little bit, if we want to be big time, people are going to have to step up. And I said that with the hopes that they would, and people are. We've had a lot of people since we've gotten back. Chet Stewart obviously opened up the Football Excellent Fund with his donation. We have a young man that played for Coach Long that has stepped up. That we're finalizing a deal for a significant donation, and then we're building up what we call the first team, which is a group of boosters that we work with that have annual dues that we're growing that back up. Coach Long had that thing rocking and rolling when he was here before, and so a lot of those people have jumped back on. That all helps. And the business partners of Albuquerque getting through this pandemic will help. So absolutely, it can be a recruiting tool. It depends on how the people around here want to help. And so far, they're saying and doing all the right things. So I think it can be. I'm excited. Go ahead, Jeff.
Firmly realizing the differences between what you went through and what basketball's going through. You guys had it. They're similar, but obviously different. You had a base and a place and kind of knew. And not looking for any names. Did you have some of the conversations, the issues that Paul talked about, and can you empathize with him if you had conversations with Paul about just working through some of the student athlete mental issues that he's obviously going through, understanding that they're different but certainly similar.
Right. I've me and Paul have swapped text messages. We talked a little bit before their endeavor started, as ours was wrapping up. Them not having the home base probably made it a little bit more difficult. We had a great setup in Las Vegas. The Lakeside Hilton really did a phenomenal job. It was a little bit rocky at first as we were both filling each other out. And then once we got into a groove after the Nevada game, it was a really good situation. We had a pretty structured schedule. They knew where they were going when we left to a home game and came back. An away game and came back. They knew the schedule. So I think those things are different. I can't comment on the basketball thing only because I haven't been in that situation. I don't know. They were at Lubbock and then they were at St. George. They didn't, like you said, Jeff, they didn't have a specific home base so I don't know. I think being in the first year, our kids are trying to learn us. We were trying to learn our kids. We got to spend a lot of time together because of the situation, which I think helped with the foundation of our program. The position coaches have established pretty good relationships with their guys. When we set out, obviously, all we wanted was the opportunity to compete, and I was super excited that we found a way. So we didn't have some of the struggles that they had. I'm sure there was kids walking around with frowns on as we were walking through the hotel 0-5. I know that we were getting grumpy with each other, but the belief in what we were doing and how we were doing it never wavered. And then I thought after we won the Wyoming game, obviously they wanted to win pretty bad. That celebration was something for itself, but it just kind of gave them justification of everything that we're going through and asking them to do is going to work if they continue to beat down that door. So, I empathize. I really hope that they can figure it out and those guys get the opportunity to play and finish the season. But I think I think they're in a little bit different boat than us. But I don't know. I haven't been in their shoes that way. Anybody? Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Danny, with the seniors that you brought back, that's such a unique process. You said you met with each one of them, and then you came down to 14, basically, for lack of a better term, inviting back to come back. How would you describe that whole process? Because it was unique. Was it difficult, smooth? How would you describe that process?
No, I thought it was. There were some difficult conversations, obviously. I invited Brandon Shook back. I tried to recruit Brandon Shook pretty hard. Brandon Shook decided he wants to be a sheriff in Orange County, or in Ventura, rather. So I'm excited for his opportunity to do that, and he's looking to get married and do those things. But I thought some of those guys, along the way, decisions were made there in Las Vegas, and seeing different our expectations and what was going on, and then sitting down with each one of them and explaining the direction we're going and what we're doing. And the 14 that are invited back, I think they believe in what we're doing, and they're doing things the right way. And I think they're a good example for what we want with our senior classes going forward. I think your leadership team, I think the seniors that have put the most into the program in most cases provide the direction of your football team and the personality of your football team. And so these 14 who normally you get in January, you have the seniors for one off season, and then they play a game and they're done. So they don't really have a great chance to buy into what you're doing. We had a weird setup with the whole pandemic where we go through spring ball in March and then we don't see each other for 4 months other than just like this on the computer. But then we get an opportunity to spend every day together, and they kind of figure out, okay, this is what they need from us. This is what they want. This is what they're not going to I mean, they're just like your kids at home. I mean, they push the limits as far as they can to see what they can get away with. And if you just don't allow them to get away with it, then they know exactly what they can do and they can't do. And then some of them decided, or we decided either way, that it was not going to work. And so there were some difficult conversations. Most of them were very positive, and even for, I mean, and all of them that aren't here that want to continue to play, I'm continuing to try and help them find a place.
Coach, I saw last night on Twitter a couple of kids from Clovis saying that they're getting some love from UNM. I know you can't maybe talk about it too much, but just talk about what you've seen out of that program and out in Clovis.
Coach Fullerton's done a great job. They've got obviously we signed Jaden Phillips back in December. There's some kids on that team that are really, really good football players. We're not putting anything out there today. I'm guessing by Friday or Monday we'll have a release of some kind. But I'm excited about I'm excited about the in-state products. I mean, when I took this job, everybody was saying nobody recruited New Mexico. I mean, nobody from the outside, nobody. There's 10, 11 Division I kids in the state of New Mexico in the 2021 class that did not get to play a fall football season. I mean, that's awesome. And as a New Mexico kid, that makes me super proud. I think we've got the best ones in our group. The ones that left, I mean, Tyler he'll do a great job. I mean, he'll be a good player at UCLA. We recruited him. I started recruiting him when we were at Arizona State. I think he's going to be a really good player. Sam Carroll, who signed with Washington State, we recruited down to the very end. Those two are big kids that the state of New Mexico generally doesn't have that kind of size. So I'm going to cheer them on. I hope we get the opportunity to play both of them. We do in 2025. We play UCLA. That'll be Tyler's senior year. So I'll look him up on the sideline. But all those New Mexico kids that, Chance is going to Colorado State. They've beaten us 10 times in a row. We get them here at home next year. I can't wait. I like Chance. He's a good kid, and he'll be a good football player for him. But we're going to try and whoop his tail and then love him up after the game. But I'm excited that the state of New Mexico has that many Division I kids.
Anything else? Anybody else?
Well, go ahead, Brandon.
Last one, Brandon.
Oh, my bad. Go for it, Brandon.
Brandon, then Jared, then we'll end it.
Sorry, I got this mixer. I'm using too much. So you mentioned Brandon Shook going off to be a sheriff. You have other guys that I'm aware of that are trying to be coaches that maybe could have come back and have trying to get a head start on their next career. How much have you been enjoying since getting back, having the conversations with those guys that are now moving on to their next chapter and trying to guide them in whatever way you can?
Well, that's why you get into this business. We're really 2% of college football players, really less than 2%, become NFL football players. I think Tyson Dyer has an opportunity on our team. I think Teton has an opportunity. I think Marcus Williams, who would like to get into coaching, who just decided that his body couldn't take the demands of football anymore, and he had a really good career, and he had an awesome senior year and loved every second of his chance to play. Would like to do that and helping those guys get into those situations. We made some phone calls. We're trying to make some stuff happen around here. I think those are the reasons that you do this. It's the relationships that we built. A young man named Malik Smith, who played safety for us at San Diego State, we recruited out of Compton, same school that Quinn Potts is from. That young man spent every Thanksgiving and Christmas, including his family, at our house. He just now got deputized as a sheriff in LA County. Those are the kind of stories and relationships that is why you do this. And I love the fact that I can help not only New Mexico kids, but University of New Mexico student athletes. And I'll help them. I'll help any sport, basketball, football, baseball. I don't care. It makes our community better. It makes our school better. And it's a wonderful place to go to school. I've got 2 degrees from here that I'm super proud of. And that's why we do this. And so we'll continue to work to give those kids opportunities to be successful. I use this stat in recruiting all the time. A Division I football player or a Division I athlete that goes on a full scholarship has the opportunity to be one of 7% of students that go to an American university that graduate school debt-free. Only 7% of people that graduate from American universities are debt-free when they graduate. Whether it's student loans, credit cards, parents, grandparents, they owe somebody money. 93% of people owe people money. And these kids have an opportunity. So we talk to them about their FAFSA, their student loans. Don't go take out a student loan to get a freaking tattoo and do something like that. I mean, we educate them on all those things because I think that's our job. And so continuing with them to have those opportunities, I mean, that's part of the reason that we're coaches and why we do this stuff. So it's awesome. What's up, Jared?
Yeah, the big question. You got to take the Super Bowl.
I'm rooting for Tampa Bay. I mean, Tom Brady, that's pretty phenomenal. You being 10 Super Bowls in your career in that amount of time. I mean, saw the deal the other day that he wants to play till now beyond 45. But he's smart. He said you never know when football could end for you. I mean, year one, just like we tell the quarterbacks all the time. I mean, QB5 probably didn't believe that he was 5 plays away from playing. But guess what? All of a sudden he was. And so what he's done for that remarkable of a career is unbelievable. I mean, Coach Arians, who I got to know when he was living in Phoenix, he's done a phenomenal job with that team. I mean, obviously that quarterback can change it, and the one that they're going against on Sunday, Patrick Mahomes, is pretty freaking good. I mean, what he did at Texas Tech and what he's been able to do in the league. I mean, now I get on Twitter and watch all those things. I mean, they broke Tom Brady's career into 3 6-year different careers. I saw a stat. I mean, the first one, he won 2 Super Bowls, was 2-time MVP, led the NFL in passing 1 year and touchdowns another in that period. That's a Hall of Fame career. And then his middle 6 years, he doesn't win a Super Bowl, but he wins the MVP 3 times, and he leads it in passing yards, and he's second in touchdowns. And then the last 6-year period, he wins 3 Super Bowls. He's 2-time MVP. I mean, shoot, that man's had 3 Hall of Fame careers in one. That's unbelievable. And so how can you bet against him unless and he ain't playing Eli Manning. So, I mean, there's some positives there for him. So, I mean, that's some so the household will be rooting for Tampa Bay. I have no idea if they're good enough on – now, they played really good on defense the last 2 weeks. So, who knows? I hope it's a great game. That's all. I hope it comes down to the final possession. That's really all I root for, except for when we're playing. Those are miserable. Yeah. Wyoming was miserable, by the way, until the game was over. But that's just me.